July 16, 2013. Working with elderly patients in the Chicago area just a few years ago, Dr. Anthony Joseph Garcia was always gentle and pleasant, according to his former boss, who remembered him as a highly professional physician. But Garcia, 40, had a troubled past. Over the years, he failed to complete 4 medical residencies, including one at the University of Illinois at Chicago. Now, authorities say grudges that took hold during years of professional frustration led Garcia to kill 4 people in Omaha, Nebraska, where he was once a resident at Creighton University. He was arrested this week in southern Illinois. One of his alleged victims was the 11-year-old son of one of the doctors who fired him in 2001 from his residency at Creighton. The boy, Thomas Hunter, and his family's housekeeper, Shirley Sherman, 57, were stabbed to death by someone who broke into the Hunters' Omaha home in 2008. Then in May, police say Garcia killed the other doctor he blamed for his undoing at Creighton, Roger Brumbach, and his wife, Mary, both 65. Roger Brumbach was fatally shot, his wife was stabbed to death. Authorities said, "I did not see any indications that he was capable of this. I did not see anything like that," said Dr. Vladimir Vidanovic, a UIC assistant professor of clinical pathology who was in the same resident class as Garcia at UIC and described him as being quiet, calm and withdrawn. On Monday, Illinois State Police stopped Garcia in Union County and took him into custody. He showed signs of alcohol impairment and had a .45 caliber handgun with him, but was taken in without incident. Omaha Police Chief Todd Schmaderer said at a news conference this week. Garcia, who had been living in Terre Haute, Indiana, was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and use of a weapon in the slayings, Schmaderer said. Authorities will seek his extradition to Nebraska Wednesday. A task force of local, state, and federal law enforcement officials was set up in May to investigate the 4 slayings in Omaha and determine if they were connected. Schmaderer said the task force had been watching Garcia for some time and decided to make the arrest when he went on the move. While Garcia failed to get a medical license in at least 4 states, he was given a license to practice medicine in Illinois in 2003, while he was still a UIC resident, records show. The license has been renewed since then and his current license is set to expire next year. Garcia has had no disciplinary issues, said Sue Hofer, spokeswoman for the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation. Hofer said she could not explain why Illinois granted Garcia a license to practice medicine in the state when so many other states had found his record problematic. In March, several months after being denied a license to practice medicine in Indiana, Garcia was arrested for DUI while driving a Ferrari in southwest suburban Bedford Park. A breath test indicated his blood alcohol content was nearly 3 times the legal limit. Garcia's parents, reached at their home in Walnut, California, Tuesday, declined to comment. His Chicago area lawyers, Allison and Robert Matatu, said they had been contacted by Garcia's family at 2:30 a.m. Tuesday and planned to meet with Garcia on Tuesday evening. The family believes strongly in his innocence and that he has not done what he's being charged with. And they fully stand behind him, Allison Mata said. Garcia got his medical degree from the University of Utah in 1999, according to records he filed with the Medical Licensing Board of Indiana. Garcia started a residency in family practice at Bassett St. Elizabeth Medical Center in Albany, New York. He stayed for about 6 months before records indicate he resigned to avoid a disciplinary investigation and hearing into his unprofessional and inappropriate conduct during an incident in the radiology department, according to the New York State Office of Professional Medical Conduct. Garcia later told the Medical Licensing Board in Indiana that he had been essentially fired from the residency because he had yelled at a radiology technician. He said he felt he was being treated unfairly, records show. Garcia began his residency in Creighton's Department of Pathology in July 2000, according to records. He was fired almost a year later on the grounds that he placed a telephone call to a fellow resident's home while the resident was taking an examination. Garcia allegedly told the resident's wife that her husband needed to return to the Department of Pathology, according to school officials. Schmaderer said Garcia was fired by Dr. Brumbach and Dr. William Hunter, Thomas Hunter's father, for a form of erratic behavior. Garcia said he was essentially fired because he had called the fellow resident to tell him his vacation was not approved. His next stop was the residency program at the UIC Medical Center, where he was enrolled from 2001 through 2003, according to records. Garcia told Indiana authorities that he left the residency due to poor health/migraine headaches/depression. Several of Garcia's former colleagues at UIC described him as someone who was not a standout physician, but who also didn't exhibit any obviously troubling behavior. A UIC spokeswoman declined to comment on the circumstances of Garcia's departure from the program. Dr. Robert Fulberg, head of UIC's pathology department when Garcia was a resident, said he couldn't recall why Garcia left. "There was something that happened and he separated," said Fulberg, now dean of Oakland University's medical school in Michigan. "Typically residents don't separate from us if they are doing swimmingly." Garcia enrolled in a psychiatry residency at the Louisiana State University Health Sciences Center on February 27, 2008. The Louisiana State Board of Medical Examiners wrote to Garcia informing him that he may not possess the necessary qualifications for medical licensure because he did not report that he did not complete the pathology programs at Creighton or UIC. Garcia left the institution the next day. Records show. About 2 weeks later, on March 13, 2008, the bodies of Thomas Hunter and Sherman were found. Later that year, in December 2008, Garcia applied for a license to practice medicine in Indiana and was granted a temporary permit until he withdrew his application. At the time, he listed an apartment in Chicago as his residence. The apartment is located above visiting physicians in the near West Side, where Garcia worked as a contract physician in 2009, making house calls to elderly patients. His former boss, Dr. Benjamin Toe, on Tuesday described him as an ideal tenant and doctor who had no complaints from his patients. Allison Mata said her client had been under surveillance by Nebraska authorities when he was pulled over by Illinois State Police. Garcia is scheduled to appear for an extradition hearing Wednesday in Union County. Tribune reporters Carlos Sadovi, Rosemary Regina Sobel, Ari Blomkatz, and Cynthia Dizikes contributed. Reuters also contributed.